You didn't give me your number, so I came with my friends to collect your number.
Odogwu Parara.
I see somebody has been talking about me.
Yes! Can you Kuku type?
Actually, look, I'm going to marry you.
He's of age, he's rich,
Wealthy.
my sister.
All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into something totally different. You guys sent us this collection of scenes from a Nigerian movie, Love in Every Word, Nigerian movies, 2025 latest full movies. So basically, we're going to be jumping around a bit, trying to piece together what's happening in these little snippets of conversation.
Exactly. It's like we're getting these puzzle pieces, glimpses into different people's lives, and it's up to you, the listener, to figure out the bigger picture. You know, like what are the themes?
Wow.
What's really going on beneath the surface?
Right, and the first thing that really jumps out at me is this relationship that seems to be falling apart because of money problems. So we meet this guy, Davis, who's apparently lost a bunch of money, like $5,000 in Forex trading.
Oh, wow.
And the first thing he does is ask his partner, Chi-Chi, for another $2,000 to try and win it back.
And her reaction is not good. It's not just about the money. It's like a whole wave of anger and disappointment. You know, she goes into this whole list of all the times she's bailed him out before virtual real estate drop shipping, even a car loan.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, it's like this is the final straw for her. This whole situation is a classic example of what some people call financial infidelity, you know, where hiding debt or just being bad with money can really damage a relationship just like cheating would.
That makes sense.
And the way Chi-Chi talks about it, you can tell she's been carrying a lot of emotional labor too. Financial stress can really weigh down one partner more than the other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it gets even more intense because the argument ends with Chi-Chi demanding all her gifts back from Davis. Everything.
Yeah.
Like she wants her necklace back, his shoes, even his boxers.
Wow. That's a powerful statement. It's not really about the stuff itself, right? It's like she's trying to reclaim everything she put into the relationship, all the emotional and financial investment she made. It's a pretty dramatic breakup.
Totally. It's like she's erasing him from her life, taking back every piece of herself.
Interesting.
So then we shift gears completely, and we see this whole other kind of pressure at work. We're introduced to this employee, probably Juliet, who's dealing with a super demanding boss and some crazy deadlines.
Oh boy.
There's all this tension about revisions to an ad campaign and getting vendors finalized, and the boss is just relentless.
Yeah, those kinds of workplaces can be so draining.
Totally. And to make things worse, the boss actually criticizes Juliet's team for being slow, and then goes on about how he once made 100 slides in 3 hours, as if that's some kind of standard.
Oh, come on. That's ridiculous. Comparing yourself to your employees like that is never helpful. It just makes them feel inadequate. And it shows that the boss doesn't really understand what they're going through.
Yeah, it's a pretty bad leadership style, to say the least.
Totally.
And then to make matters even more complicated, Juliet's colleague Shola gets blamed for delays on a luxury brand campaign. But Juliet jumps in and defends her, explaining that Shola had already handed the account over. So it's like a little moment of solidarity in this high-pressure environment.
That's really nice to see. You know, colleagues supporting each other in a tough workplace.
Right. But then there's another conflict because Juliet's own campaign gets handed over to Shola to execute. And she's understandably frustrated.
Yeah, that's gotta be tough. She put in all the effort, came up with the ideas, and now someone else gets to take the credit.
Exactly. And it all boils over when Juliet finally confronts her boss about everything. The workload, the lack of promotion, even the verbal abuse she's had to endure.
Good for her.
And you know what? Both she and a colleague end up resigning.
Wow, that's a big move. It shows how important it is to stand up for yourself and not let a toxic work environment get you down.
Absolutely.
It really makes you think about what kind of work culture we want to be a part of. You know, one that values employees and their well-being, or one that just focuses on squeezing every last drop of productivity out of them.
So now let's jump into a totally different dynamic kind of relationships and the whole cultural pressure around marriage.
Okay, interesting.
We hear this phone conversation between a mother and her daughter, who we figure out is Chi-Chi.
Right.
The mother is super excited for Chi-Chi to come to an introduction ceremony in Anambra State, and she's kind of disappointed that Chi-Chi can't get there sooner.
Introduction ceremonies are a pretty big deal in Nigerian culture, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's like a formal step towards marriage, a way of introducing families and getting everyone's approval.
So the mother's excitement makes sense. She probably sees this as a really important milestone for her daughter.
And she definitely doesn't hold back when it comes to her opinion about Chi-Chi's current boyfriend, Davis. She keeps trying to push Chi-Chi towards other guys specifically those who are successful and can provide financial security.
That's interesting. It speaks to the cultural emphasis on financial stability as a key factor in a good marriage.
Yeah, she even uses the term Odogwu, which basically means a real man, someone who's strong and successful and can take care of his family.
Right, so it's not just about love and compatibility for the mother, it's also about making sure her daughter is well taken care of financially and socially.
And the mother's involvement doesn't stop there. Later on, she actually travels to Lagos because she heard a rumor about Chi-Chi dating Chief Obiora.
Oh, wow. So she's really invested in her daughter's love life.
Totally. And again, her focus is all on Obiora's wealth and status. She basically tells Chi-Chi not to even think about rejecting him. It's like she's determined to see her daughter marry into wealth and prestige.
That's quite a bit of pressure for Chi-Chi to handle, having to balance her own feelings with her mother's expectations and cultural norms.
For sure. But speaking of Chief Obiora, we actually see the beginning of their relationship unfold. And it starts in a pretty unexpected way at a traditional wedding.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Obiora is super direct about his interest in Chi-Chi. He basically tells her he wants to marry her even though they barely know each other.
Whoa, that's bold. It could be seen as confidence, or maybe it's just a more traditional approach to courtship where you state your intentions up front.
It's definitely not the usual way things go.
Not at all. And Chi-Chi is understandably hesitant. I mean, she just got out of a bad relationship and this guy's coming on strong.
Right, but they do end up going on dates. And what's interesting is that during their dinner date, Obiora seems genuinely interested in getting to know Chi-Chi as a person.
That's a good sign.
They even agree to take things slow and focus on building an emotional connection first.
So maybe there's more to him than just his initial boldness. He's willing to put in the effort to get to know her.
And then there's this hilarious twist.
Yeah.
Obiora ends up becoming Chi-Chi's new landlord.
No way! Seriously?
Yeah, talk about a small world. It definitely adds a whole new layer to their dynamic.
Definitely keeps things interesting. But then things hit a snag because Chi-Chi starts ghosting Obiora.
Oh no, why?
And the reason is kind of surprising. It's because of his ethnic accent.
You're kidding.
Nope. Her friends are not happy about it either. They call her out for being superficial and point out all of Obiora's good qualities, like his kindness, his attentiveness, and of course his financial stability.
They're good friends for saying something. It's important to challenge those kinds of biases.
Absolutely. It makes you think about how our own unconscious prejudices can affect who we choose to date.
And then we learn the real reason why Chi-Chi is so averse to Obiora's accent. It's actually tied to her relationship with her estranged father, who's wealthy and titled, but treated her mother poorly.
Oh, wow. So it's not just about the accent. It's a deeper emotional trigger for her.
Exactly. Obiora's accent subconsciously reminds her of her father and all the pain associated with him.
That's a really powerful example of how past trauma can influence our present behavior, especially in relationships.
But despite all of this, Obiora doesn't give up on Chi-Chi. He learns about her past and reaffirms his feelings for her.
He sounds like a keeper.
And then he does something completely unexpected. He proposes.
Oh, he's really committed to her. It's amazing to see someone so understanding and willing to work through those challenges.
Totally. And throughout all these ups and downs, we also see how important Chi-Chi's friends are. They're there for her through the breakup with Davis. They challenge her on her dating choices, and they're genuinely excited for her when things start looking up with Obiora.
Good friends are so valuable. They provide support, honesty, and a sense of community. It's clear that Chi-Chi's friends really have her back.
And one of her friends even helps her recover some of the money she lost to Davis. She's described as the baddest lawyer in town.
That's awesome. That's what friends are for, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
So as we've gone through these different scenes, it's amazing to see how everything is connected. You know, our finances, our work lives, our family dynamics, and our romantic relationships all influence each other.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that life is messy and complicated, and there are no easy answers.
And it's also a reminder that people are complex and capable of growth and change.
We see that in Chi-Chi's journey. She's dealing with financial betrayal, professional setbacks, family pressure, and her own personal baggage, but she keeps moving forward.
Exactly. And for you, the listener, I think there's some really valuable takeaways here. You know, it's so important to be self-aware, to communicate openly and honestly, and to be willing to face those uncomfortable truths about ourselves and our past.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. What are the accents in your life that might be triggering unconscious biases or holding you back from potentially meaningful connections or experiences? Are there things from your past that are shaping your present choices in ways you haven't fully considered?
It's something for all of us to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Love in Every Word.
It's been a fascinating journey.